A few years ago, I made a video about 15 best soundproofing material, but that's in need of an update because materials have changed and also prices has gone up. And these things have become very popular since then. And where do these fit in as a soundproofing material? Because you're probably thinking already, that's not a soundproofing material, but it's all relative to noise reduction. And in this video, we'll only have 10 best soundproofing materials, so might as well start with number 1. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about before and after these acoustic panels versus these acoustic panels. Now, these acoustic panels behind me are the traditional ones. These are the new types. Now, I thought that this was a complete sheet of wood, but in the back, it's a felt material. So it's a noise absorber, and these pieces of wood right here are noise diffusers. And what that does, it diffuses the sound waves and it makes the noise in the room sound more natural, or I guess the sound. And the felt material in the middle of that, it is a noise absorber which absorbs the sound waves. So it makes the noise in the room sound quite good. And here is a before and after sound test of these acoustic panels, because where this fits in, it's all about noise reduction. This might not reduce the noise if you add them on the wall on a decibel meter. However, it will make the room sound better. It will remove the echo in the room, so it makes everything in the room not sound as loud. This is basically to soundproof your own noise. So if you add enough of these on the wall, if you fill the entire wall of these, it will not only absorb noise, it will also block a little bit of noise. But you have to fill the entire wall, which I don't have a video of that yet, which I will make a video of that before and after of a sound test to see how much noise it actually blocks from room to room. So here's a quick sound test of what these panels can do. Now that all the acoustic panels are installed, actually it does sound better. I can just the sound of my voice does sound better, but we'll be able to test with the royalty-free music, same spot as before with the volume at 40, and we'll be able to, well, you'll be able to hear the difference. So how impressed are you about these acoustic panels? All right, so let's move on to number 2. Something that you can use on doors, windows, even on walls. I'll explain. It's not acoustic sealant. That's what I would have recommended in the last video. The difference between regular caulking and noise-proofing acoustic caulking is that acoustic caulking, it stays rubbery over time. It's guaranteed to stay rubbery for at least 5 years, if not longer. Regular caulking, cheap caulking, non-silicone caulking will crack over time with the shifting of the house, with the slamming of the door, it'll crack. And with those cracks, it will allow noise to come in. What I would suggest instead of acoustic caulking is just regular silicone caulking. I'll have links in the description below of everything I talk about in this video to make it easier for you to go and purchase. So where I would add this acoustic caulking around the door? Well, you can add it around the door frame and around the small door jamb where the door closes. You can also use them for windows where there's cracks around the windows. You can seal those off, and where you can use this type of caulking also on a wall is to seal the cracks around an electrical outlet. Because most of the time, if the wall is finished, it's pretty hard to go behind the electrical outlet to seal all those holes behind that electrical box. Inside an electrical outlet, there's the wires and there's a bunch of holes. But before you do any of this, before you go close to an electrical outlet, make sure to shut the breaker off where you will be working. If you take off the faceplate, you'll see a small gap between the drywall and the electrical box. You can fill that up with just a little bit of caulking just to seal that up, and then you add your faceplate back. And if the crack is just too big, you can add something called putty pads inside those cracks. And that leads us to our next best soundproofing product that you can use. And this one, I actually have a sound test before and after adding some putty pads behind the electrical outlet to seal that box. Putty pads, they are intended for a fire safety, because I know everybody's going to be asking, well, is that safe to be adding around an electrical outlet? Well, this putty was designed to essentially encapsulate the electrical outlet box. So if there is some type of freak accident inside that box that could create a short, could create a fire, that would hold it off for a couple of minutes, or at least maybe until it snuffs itself out. You might not think that a lot of noise would go through an electrical outlet, but a lot of the times inside a room, between bedrooms, there's no insulation in the wall. So when you have that empty cavity inside that wall and you have those electrical outlets, it's pretty easy for noise just to travel through in between the walls and into the next room. So now let's watch this test. So that was pretty impressive. If you can get behind the electrical outlet box, perfect. If you can't, you can still use putty pads to put it behind the faceplate to kind of make a makeshift barrier. This can also work, and it doesn't cost you much money. So number 4, since I'm standing beside a door, I might as well talk about something that we can use to soundproof a door, because most people, that's what they want to soundproof, is a door. An interior door is designed to let air in and out of a room. That's why you have the cracks all around the door. But we still want to seal that off if we have proper airflow in the room, or if you just want to soundproof the room temporarily, you'll want to seal that off, because all of these cracks, all of these gaps around the door, on the bottom of the door, is going to let a lot of noise in and out of the room. The weather strip that you would want to use is a very thin weather strip, the one that you see on your screen. Where you want to add it on the door is around the inner door jamb. So when you close the door, it no longer wobbles. And hopefully when you close the door, the light bleed that you saw all around the door is going to be gone. I am going to show you a sound test just to show you the difference of spending very little money. Basically under $20, you can seal the around the door with a weather strip and a bottom door sweep. The bottom door sweep that you'd want to use is a U-shape bottom door sweep. The reason why I like these is because you can slide them in, you can slide them out, especially if you don't have proper airflow in the room and you just want to soundproof the door for a few hours. And by just doing that, I think you'll be quite impressed at how much noise is decreased from before and after. So as you saw, for very little money, you can make quite a difference in soundproofing your door without having to replace the door completely. If you don't have proper airflow, then I would suggest just replacing the door, interior door, from a hollow to a solid core door. The difference between the two doors is the hollow one is, well, hollow. It just has a honeycomb cardboard interior so the door stays stable. The solid core door, however, has a solid interior. It's mostly of compacted sawdust material, and it will stop more noise, definitely, than a hollow core door. And I will have a future video of a before and after sound test of a hollow core door versus a solid core door, so you can see the difference. So make sure to subscribe to, I guess, see the difference. Next soundproofing material that is essential to soundproofing a room is not really considered a soundproofing material because you would have this in your house already: drywall. Now, not just any drywall, and I don't really recommend the soundproofing drywall because prices has just gone up dramatically in the past few years. The one that I recommend is the 5/8 of an inch drywall. Most of the time you'll have 1/2 inch drywall in your house, and adding a second layer or In this case, I could add 2 layers of 5/8 of an inch drywall onto this wall, and it would make quite a difference at reducing the noise from room to room. And the reason why you want to add at least 2 layers of drywall is because you want to add mass. That is what is going to essentially block the most sound waves, is mass. As you saw on the first item we talked about, that had a little bit of mass, but it had more of a sound deadening material. That works more to drown out your sound waves inside the room. Adding mass is not to drown out the sound waves, is to block the sound waves from going from room to room. And drywall is a inexpensive way to do it. However, if you do add an extra layer of drywall, just remember that if you have any outlets, any light switches on the wall, which you will most likely have, you will need to have an outlet extender to extend that out, because your added drywall will, well, you'll lose 5/8 of an inch in your room. Now, the next product on our list is something that you can add in between the 2 layers of drywall, something called mass-loaded vinyl. Mass-loaded vinyl is a rubber type material. It comes in a roll, it's very heavy, and it works really good at blocking and absorbing low frequency noise. Where you can add this type of material is in between 2 layers of drywall. You can even add them around water pipes to drown out that noise that water flows through the pipes. But in this case, I would add it either in between the 2 layers of drywall, or if you're just going to add 1 layer of drywall, then just add it onto the wall and then add your drywall after. You can buy this type of material in 1 pound or 2 pounds per square feet. So you can see how heavy that could get. The more you buy, the cheaper it's going to be. But just remember, the more you buy, the heavier that roll is going to end up being. So you'll need some help applying the mass-loaded vinyl onto the wall. I'll also have a video of a before and after, because I am going to soundproof this very room to see how much noise is decreased by this furnace. Not that it makes a lot of noise, but I'll also have sound tests of other things with the mass-loaded vinyl, added drywall, and also I'll add some insulation. Now, as I was saying, the mass-loaded vinyl and the drywall, the mass that you add onto the wall is to block sound waves, but the type of sound waves that it works in blocking are higher frequency sound waves, which can be called airborne noise. Airborne noise is, well, as I'm talking, these are airborne noise. It's not really creating any vibrations. The lower frequency sound waves, which would be the structural noise, that could be people walking above your head, footstep noise, or even traffic, where it would make the house almost rumble, where you can feel the vibrations. If you are going to want to soundproof for, let's say, footstep noise, adding an extra layer of drywall and a sheet of mass-loaded vinyl on top of your head is not going to work that well compared to the next soundproofing product, which is called Resilient Channel. Now, this type of material is crucial if you want to get rid of footstep noise. And how the Resilient Channel is going to mitigate those footstep vibrational noise from going downstairs is by separating the floor joist from the ceiling. Now, the ceiling will have to be uninstalled, so hopefully there is no drywall currently onto the ceiling. Resilient Channel works a lot better on ceilings than on walls. The only time that I would really suggest it on walls is if you have a home theater or something that creates a lot of vibrational noise and also airborne noise. One thing, however, that will push the budget a little bit more up with the Resilient Channel is by hiring somebody to install it. That is the one thing. It is quite finicky to install, so make sure to hire somebody that has installed them before and that knows what they're doing so it works properly after it's done. Now, the last one on this list is something that I wasn't sure if I was going to add because they are quite expensive, but they are proven to work quite well in reducing at least half, if not more, of the noise coming in from the outside, and that is a noise reducing or soundproof window panel. These ones are custom made to fit your window. Without having to change the window, without having to do anything else, you can reduce at least half of the noise coming in from outside. And just to prove that, here's a sound test that I did a few weeks ago of just that. now we'll put our panel. And what's nice with these panel, there's a gasket all around and it seals around the frame pretty good. Goes on nice and tight. Let's see if it made a difference. It works, but it is expensive, so it does turn a lot of people off. I'll have a link in the description below of a starter kit that you can buy from Amazon, and it shows you what this type of material is made of and the different types that you can buy to see if it works for you and for your window. So maybe that would be something to consider if you do have a quite healthy budget. If your budget is quite low and you still want to effectively soundproof a room, video right here can show you exactly how to do that. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.